Thanksgiving at my parents' house was always the same. 20 people crammed around an extended dining table, my mother's dry turkey as the centerpiece, and my sister Emma being celebrated for her achievements while I was dismissed as the family's lost cause. This year was no different. Emma just got promoted to senior marketing coordinator, my mother announced as she passed the mashed potatoes. She's making $58,000 a year now plus benefits. A real career with a real company. Congratulations, Emma, I said genuinely. Emma smiled apologetically at me. She knew what was coming. Unlike some people, my father added, cutting his turkey with unnecessary force, who freelance and struggle to make ends meet. I was Riley Chen, 29 years old and a cybersecurity consultant. For the past 6 years, I'd been working independently, providing security audits and penetration testing for corporations. My client list included 15 Fortune 500 companies. Last year I'd made $840,000. My family thought I did computer stuff from home, and barely paid my bills. Freelancing isn't a real career, my Aunt Linda said, reaching for the cranberry sauce. No stability. No benefits. No pension. What happens when you get old, Riley? I'll be fine, Aunt Linda. Will you though? My mother pressed. Emma has health insurance through her company. She has a 401k. She has security. What do you have? I had a 7-figure investment portfolio, 3 rental properties, and more in my retirement accounts than Emma would save in 20 years. But I said nothing. At least Emma has a proper office job, my mother continued. She goes to an actual workplace. She has coworkers. She has structure. You just sit in your apartment all day on your computer. That's not a career, Riley. That's avoiding life. My phone buzzed on the table. A text from my lawyer, David. Riley, we have a problem. TechWorld magazine is publishing an exposé tomorrow about corporate cybersecurity spending. Your client list somehow leaked. They're naming you as the highest-paid independent security consultant in the country. Story goes live at 8 p.m. tonight. I stared at the message, my stomach dropping. The client list was supposed to be confidential. NDAs protected most of my contracts. I texted back, how did they get the list? Anonymous source. Probably someone at one of your clients. The article focuses on how much corporations spend on security. You're the headline example. Unknown consultant earns millions from Fortune 500 clients. I checked my watch. 6:47 p.m. Just over an hour until the article published. Riley, are you even listening? My father snapped. Put your phone away. We're having a family dinner. Sorry, work emergency. Work emergency, my Uncle Richard laughed. What? Someone's email isn't working. That's what you call an emergency. I pocketed my phone. Something like that. This is what I'm talking about, my mother said. No boundaries. Real jobs have normal hours. Emma leaves work at 5 and doesn't think about it until the next morning. That's healthy. That's balance. Emma shifted uncomfortably. Mom, Riley's work is legitimate. Sweetheart, you don't have to defend your sister. We all know she's doing her best. It's just not the same as having a real career like you do. My phone buzzed again. Another text from David. Article is already getting advance buzz. Wall Street Journal and Forbes are picking it up. This is going to be huge. Prepare for your family to find out everything. I excused myself to the bathroom and called David. How bad is this? I asked. For you? Not bad at all. Great publicity actually. You'll probably get a dozen new client inquiries. But Riley, they're publishing your earnings. Your client list. Everything. My family is going to see this. I know. That's why I'm calling. Do you want me to try to kill the story? I thought about my mother's dismissive comments. My father's lectures about real careers. 6 years of being treated like a failure at every family gathering. No, I said. Let it publish. When I returned to the table, dessert was being served. My grandmother's pumpkin pie, which everyone pretended to enjoy despite it being mostly crust. Riley, your cousin Jason is looking for work, Aunt Linda said. Maybe you could help him get a job at one of those tech companies you work with? I don't work at tech companies. I work for them as a consultant. Same difference. Could you put in a word? I'll see what I can do. See, that's the problem with freelancing, my father said. No real connections. No ability to help family. If you worked at an actual company, you'd have influence, networking opportunities, career advancement. Dad, I have plenty of connections. Computer people don't count as real connections. I'm talking about business professionals. People who wear suits. People who matter. My phone started buzzing continuously. Text messages flooding in. Colleagues, former clients, industry contacts. All seeing advance copies of the TechWorld article. Riley just saw the article. Congrats on the recognition. Holy shit, $840,000 last year. You're killing it. TechWorld just exposed you as the cybersecurity consultant everyone's been trying to hire. I silenced my phone, but not before my brother-in-law noticed. Popular tonight, Riley? He said with a smirk. Let me guess, spam calls? Work contacts. On Thanksgiving? That's sad. Emma and I are completely disconnected from work today. That's what healthy boundaries look like. At 7:30 p.m., my Uncle Richard turned on the TV in the living room. Football's starting. Everyone want to watch. People migrated from the dining table to the living room. I stayed behind helping Emma clear dishes. I'm sorry about Mom and Dad, she said quietly. They don't understand what you do. They've never tried to understand. I know. For what it's worth, I think what you do is impressive. I've Googled you. I've seen the articles about your work. You're the only one who bothered. She squeezed my arm. They'll figure it out eventually. In the living room, Uncle Richard was flipping through channels before the game started. He paused on a business news network. Tech stocks are up today, the anchor was saying. And in corporate news, TechWorld magazine is releasing a bombshell investigation into cybersecurity spending. We'll have details at 8. Boring, Uncle Richard muttered, switching to the football pregame show. At 7:55 p.m. I sat in the living room with my family, watching them cheer for their respective teams, completely unaware that in 5 minutes, everything would change. My phone buzzed with a final text from David. Article is live early. Going viral. Good luck. I pulled up the TechWorld website on my phone. There was the headline. The $1 Million Consultant. How Riley Chen became the highest-paid independent cybersecurity expert in America. The article included my full client list, my earnings, testimonials from Fortune 500 CTOs, and a detailed breakdown of my rise from college graduate to in-demand consultant. Uncle Richard's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, then his eyes went wide. Oh my God. Everyone turned to look at him. Riley Chen, he said slowly. That's you, right? Our Riley. Yes, I said calmly. He turned his phone around, showing the headline to the room. You're the Riley Chen in this article? The cybersecurity consultant who made $840,000 last year. The room went silent. My mother grabbed Uncle Richard's phone, reading the article with trembling hands. This says you have contracts with Apple, Microsoft, Goldman Sachs, and 12 other Fortune 500 companies, she said faintly. That's correct. It says you charge $15,000 per week for security consultations. My rate varies by project, but yes, that's in the range. My father had pulled up the article on his own phone. Riley, this article says you're one of the most sought-after cybersecurity experts in the country. I've been fortunate to build a good reputation. Emma was reading over my mother's shoulder. Mom, there's a quote here from the CTO of a major bank. He says, Riley Chen saved our company from a potentially catastrophic security breach. Her work is worth 10 times what we pay her. Linda looked like she might faint. You made $840,000 last year? Almost $1 million. Last year was good. This year will probably be around $950,000. The number hung in the air. But you don't have an office, my mother said weakly. You work from home. Because I don't need an office. My clients are all over the country. I work remotely, travel to their locations as needed, and solve their security problems. The location of my desk is irrelevant. And benefits? My father asked. Health insurance? I buy my own health insurance. Excellent coverage, actually. I also max out my retirement accounts every year, have a diversified investment portfolio, and own 3 rental properties. My brother-in-law had gone pale. 3 rental properties? Yes. I bought them over the past 4 years. Rental income covers the mortgages and provides additional cash flow. Uncle Richard was still scrolling through the article. It says here that you've been featured in cybersecurity conferences. That you've spoken at industry events. That corporations fight to get you on retainer. The demand has been high, yes. And we thought. My mother trailed off. You thought I was struggling, I finished. You thought freelancing meant failure. You thought working from home meant I wasn't serious. You thought not having a traditional office job meant I didn't have a real career. We didn't know, my father said. You didn't ask. In 6 years, not one of you asked for details about my work. You just assumed that because it didn't look like Emma's job, it wasn't legitimate. The football game played in the background, but nobody was watching anymore. Aunt Linda set down her wine glass carefully. Riley, I'm sorry. We've been incredibly dismissive of your career. Yes, you have. But you never told us you were making this much money. Because you should have respected my work regardless of how much I made. You should have been interested in what I was building, not because it was lucrative but because it was mine. My phone started ringing. A reporter from Forbes. I declined the call. You're going to be famous after this article, Emma said quietly. Everyone in the industry will know your name. They already did. That's why my client list was worth publishing. I've been building this reputation for 6 years. You all just never bothered to notice. The rest of Thanksgiving was awkward. My family didn't know how to talk to me anymore. The daughter they'd dismissed was suddenly someone they didn't recognize. My mother tried to recover. Riley, honey, we're so proud of you. We always knew you were talented. No, Mom. You didn't. You thought I was wasting my potential. You said that. Multiple times. But we didn't understand. Because you didn't try to understand. You decided my career wasn't valid because it didn't match your expectations. That's on you, not me. My father approached as people were leaving. Riley, can we talk? Just you and me. We stepped outside onto the porch. I owe you an apology. A big one. We've been treating you like a failure when you've been incredibly successful. Yes, you have. Why didn't you tell us? Why let us think you were struggling? I tried to tell you, Dad. Every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, every time I mentioned my work, you dismissed it. You compared me to Emma. You said I needed a real job. Eventually, I stopped trying to convince you. He was quiet for a long moment. You're right. We should have listened. You should have. But you were too busy being proud of Emma's $58,000 salary to notice your other daughter was making 15 times that amount. That's not fair to Emma. I'm not blaming Emma. She has a good job and should be proud. But Dad, you held her up as the example of success while treating me like a cautionary tale. And you did it without ever asking about my actual life. I don't know how to fix this. Neither do I. I replied, better late than never, I guess. For what it's worth, I've always been proud of you. Even when they weren't. I know. Thank you. 3 months later at Christmas dinner, my father introduced me to relatives as Riley, our daughter who's a top cybersecurity consultant. It was progress. Slow, uncomfortable progress. But it was something. Some families needed a public article to recognize what had been in front of them all along. Mine was one of them. And maybe that was okay. Or maybe it wasn't. Time would tell.